And we're live. Hello, hello. Welcome to the second part of our workshop. For those of you joining us for the first time, I'm Anna, and this is
I'm Julia.
Julia. And together we run a membership for artists and urban sketchers called Brave Brushes Studio. And we do a lot of other stuff to help artists grow and thrive. Let's keep it short today. You can learn all about us in the previous part of the workshop, in part one. So let's quickly review what we did last time. As you remember, we've got this reference photo of a window. And the process of creating the sketch can be broken up into, well, very clear steps and which require very specific skills. Last time, Julia talked about drawing lines and how you can, well, how drawing long lines is a skill. Not all sketchers find that they can draw a line confidently. But then there's more than that. There are parallel lines and evenly spaced lines, like for the shutters. Then there are uneven lines and curvy lines that make your sketch more dynamic. Then you can also vary the pressure of your fine liner, for example, and that also adds to the texture and just to the overall impressiveness of your sketch. So last time it was lines. Today we're going to refine the sketch with a fine liner. So that's lines again, textures again, plus all kinds of painting skills. So creating, well, Julie, what skills are exactly involved here?
Yesterday, by the way, we also talked about proportions and simple shapes.
Okay.
Today we are going to draw with a fine liner, and we will do the first paint layer. And for that, we need a little bit to know a little bit about brick textures or brick in general, how to draw bricks, and we have already drawn them. But today we are going to refine them and make them, add color to them. And what we also need to know today is how to create a color harmony in the sketch. Because if you just put some colors on your paper and you have no idea why this color, you just try to follow what you see in the photograph, then often you have not a very harmonious picture. All the colors are just very random. So today we are going to take a look at it, or at least try to make a harmonious sketch. And also, let me see, we are going to paint large areas, definitely, beautiful washes. And tomorrow we are going to talk about shadows and details. So,
all right. So sounds like a very busy session, sketching session today. So let's dive in. Let me add your, yes, this.
Yes, I need to, oh, wait a second. I need some light.
Okay, while we're waiting, let us know how your pencil sketches turned out. Are you happy with your pencil sketches?
I hope to hear something from you guys, because we want you to draw with us, or at least with me. And I'm drawing actually today.
No, no.
Why not? Not today, maybe another time. Okay, so the first part is actually quite easy. We just use the fine liner. I have here two of them, and we're going to use, at least I'm going to use 0.3 fine liner today, and tomorrow I will add another one, a thicker one. This is a thin fine liner. It's Winsor Newton. If you have another one, great too, but not too thick fine liner. And yesterday someone asked about the format of my paper, and it's I don't know what it is in. It's approximately a 5, I guess. But if you don't know what it means, I know we have some American people here. It's a 7
7 by 10 inches,
by
right? 7
inch,
by 10. Okay.
so not very big. And I just start refining, and it's not a big deal. I think that's the easiest part, but at the same time, it's very important to be able to draw straight lines. This is maybe even more important. Today's it's even more important than yesterday, because with a pencil you can refine, you can erase, but with a fine liner, it's just you can't erase it. So what you draw is what you get is what you draw is what you get. Okay, so I start just with from the top, and draw all these details we have already drawn them, and it's just do quite the same. It's a little bit difficult to draw with a fine liner on cold press paper. I have cold press paper, and it has a lot of texture, so it's more difficult to draw on it than when you draw on very, very smooth paper. But I don't like smooth paper because I also love textures. It's not only about beautiful lines, it's also about beautiful textures. And just draw all these parts. And I think it's more beautiful when you draw all these parts separate, so not in one line, but separate parts. I started with these very small details, and then I draw the wires. Okay, and now I also draw this part, and I again use my pinky to create a beautiful straight line. And I don't press too hard on my fine liner. Here I just need to draw the line without my pinky. And if you can't do this, just practice. Not for now, of course, but for the next time. So you can draw very beautiful, very straight lines. Okay, and for the bricks, I draw them like this. And brick textures, I said it already yesterday, they add much more interest. They add an interest to our sketches. They make it look more engaging than when we have any textures on the wall, just color. So textures are very beautiful to draw, and also they make our sketches look more interesting. And then this is kind of challenging because you need to draw a line in one movement.
Well, that's why in our lesson in Brave Brushes Studio, the lesson for lines, we actually asked the members to do the exercises for one whole week every day, to practice their lines for a week. So to actually, put in the time and effort in just drilling this one aspect. And
Yes,
the results, well, obviously there is a difference with before and after, but also as a result they now manage to keep up with Julia at
yeah, definitely.
our workshops, which are usually more fast paced. When we're trying to cram everything into one workshop, then the speed is a little bit higher, isn't it?
Yes.
And so those who have done this practice with lines, they report that they're no longer sketching like mad people trying to.
That movement, someone said. Yeah, that's great. Really, we got so many good reactions about it. And also that I said it yesterday, that some people said that it's so relaxing to do this exercise.
Kind of like meditation, isn't it?
Like a meditation, yes. So guys, if you want to draw beautiful straight lines, practice, practice, practice. And also, if you want to draw, like here, for example, we have a lot of lines that we actually want to we want to have the same distance between them. So they are evenly spread,
Spaced, yes.
spaced. Yes. And that's also a very good practice. I see that here I drew it a little bit different than in the reference, but I can do it as in the reference now because I think it will be better, more interesting. So it's actually a moment that you can take a look at what you drew with a pencil, and you can review it, and you can say, "Oh, okay, this is a very good decision, and that's maybe not that good, so I change it a little bit." And then you can first draw it with a pencil again, or you just go with a fine liner and change it with a fine liner. This is much faster, of course.
I don't know about drawing lines, but it's definitely relaxing watching you draw lines. You make it look so really easy and relaxing.
Yeah. I think drawing in general is a very relaxing activity. At least I know sometimes when you think, oh, I have to draw very beautifully. I'm I don't know. I want to create a very beautiful picture, and it just doesn't work. Then you can get stressed. I sometimes hear from people, especially from beginning artists, who think that they must draw very beautifully, and they get very stressed, and I don't know why. And because drawing is actually a very relaxing activity, and it's all about experimenting. It's all about having fun and trying things out, and not about stressing. I mean, okay, if something goes wrong, then you learn from it, and the next time you can do it better.
And then you can do more than one version of one and the same sketch. Like
Yeah.
it's not your only one and only chance, to do it. And I
No.
like how, Julia, remember this past Sunday when we had this workshop for brave brushes, how a few participants actually did the same sketch in a couple of different versions.
Yes.
And I think that was very powerful, actually, to see how one and the same subject, one and the same scene can turn out differently, and how you can make different decisions when working on
Yes. And the second version was actually
it. Usually
all
better than the first one.
the first one. Yes,
That
I don't.
makes
I
sense.
almost don't
That
dare
makes
to say this, but I think it was the case. Yes, the second version was better, because you have more time to think about your take your own decisions too, and yeah, and more draw more consciously than the first time. So you see, oh, you first you need to analyze, of course, your first drawing, because if you don't analyze things, if you don't analyze your mistakes, you will keep making them, I'm sure. But if you analyze them and you know, okay, this is what I do wrong now, um, then you will get better. I'm 100% sure. Okay, and we're almost there. How are you guys? Are you drawing with me? I hope so. Everyone is so busy.
So what you're doing is basically um, covering all of your pencil lines with the
Yes,
fine liner. Yeah. So
yes.
because after that you will erase the pencil
Erase
lines.
pencil lines, yes, and then we can start coloring. And of course, you also can color without the fine liner. But then we call it painting. It's not sketching anymore. And but the problem is often that you need. It's not a problem, but you just need more time and many more layers to finish the artwork. I prefer to do sketching because it's quicker, and it's often it's more impressive. At least it's my opinion, and it depends on how you do this, of course.
Julia, there's a question in the comments.
Okay.
Blanche says, I love the Winsor Newton pens, but they're not waterproof, only water resistant. And so I found this out the hard way when things got very muddy after adding watercolor. Is there a way to avoid this?
Okay, I don't know. My fine liners are waterproof, I thought. At least I don't have this problem, but I think then you maybe you have just a different kind of Winsor Newton pens. I have no idea because these ones work great. And maybe you just need to try different ones because I don't think you can avoid it. And I know it's really annoying when they when it gets so muddy.
So basically, you want to, before you start sketching, you want to verify that the ones that you're
Yes.
using are waterproof.
Even though- Yeah, I don't know. No, if they are not waterproof, then you just can't do anything, I think. Okay, I keep this part. No, I draw this. Um, this ornament, but very in a very quick way, and I think I draw something what I didn't shouldn't have done because these parts are not there. But no worries,
Too late.
too late. Sometimes things just happen, and that's okay. I mean, nobody knows, right? Except you, but you're not going to tell anyone. It's our secret. And I think it's also not very important.
Mm.
We just need to draw this ornament here, and it's all about the beauty of the drawing, or at least the impression, and not that much about the exact numbers of whatever it is, objects, windows, for example, when we draw buildings, it's not important how many um, windows you see. It's all about the impression you make with your. I mean, it's when it's one or two, then it's important. But if you see a lot of windows in the reference or when you draw outside, there is so much happening. But you just choose a number you prefer, and or the number that fits, and you just go ahead and draw it like uh, as you want. Artists are a little bit like liars. Okay, and the last part is here. Also the wires here. Again, long lines. Here we have this lamp we drew yesterday. And more wires here. And for that, we need to relax the wrist and draw very loosely. Like this. Okay, and maybe I also want to draw a few bricks here. Because it's a little bit too empty and I need to draw a few here. Yeah, I think that's enough. And here, the curtains. Yeah, and I think.
Okay, Julie, you can stop for a second. Look through the comments for now and let everyone finish. Yeah, so there's a little discussion about using a fixative over the pens to prevent them from smearing. And plus, there's a difference, right? Water resistant and waterproof. Just look through the comments, please, and say what.
Yes, water resistant is more. I don't know. Actually, I don't. I've never heard about not waterproof but water resistant uh, fine liners for regarding watercolor. I know that, for example, um, when you use markers and markers are which are waterproof, but they are not. Let me think. Marker resistant or marker proof. I call them marker proof. Not marker proof. Then you can get a very ugly parts in your sketch. But I've never heard about water proof, but not water resistant, but not waterproof fine liners. As far
Mm.
as I know, when they are water resistant, they are also waterproof. But maybe I don't know something. And let me see. Effective with rice coating the paper. Mm. Yeah, test and see is the best way. I agree. Is there a copy of the reference photo? Yes, there is a copy.
There is a copy in the email, but I'm gonna see if I can share it from my Google Drive or something. I can't really upload. Okay. So
Oh, the
yes,
chat, you mean? If you can upload it in the chat.
yeah. Well, I can't really upload a document in the chat. Yeah. Anyways, so Christine has found it. Okay. Um,
Oh,
so now you're erasing the pencil lines with your what kind of eraser do
needed
you?
eraser, needed eraser. Everyone should have it because this eraser is not only um, um, good for the paper because it doesn't damage the paper. It's also a very good for removing, for example, when you erase very details. For example, if you draw only with pencil, then you can make you can shape it, for example, like this, and you can remove only a very small part of a detail, for example, whatever you are drawing. So that's a very good eraser and good for watercolor paper too. It's much softer than normal erasers, so I use it actually for everything, not only for watercolor. So, how are you guys? Are you ready to go over to painting? Because before we start painting, we need to make we need to activate our watercolor side. Make them a little bit wet and wait a few seconds. Because if you don't do it, your colors will be very pale. We want to have very bright, very beautiful colors, right?
Okay. And if the colors come from tubes, um, then you don't need to do it. You just
No, no,
squeeze them out.
yes. But it's very time consuming to do it when you're painting, I think. Okay, I also need to have something to, let me see, to create an angle. So the watercolor will go
Flow
to
down.
flow down, yes. You still can see it though, right?
Yes, all good.
Okay, so we start actually with, we can do different things. We can first make the paper red, or we start just painting with colors uh, without making the paper red. And I do this. The colors will be more bright. And for this part, as you can see, it's a very, very large area. And to make it interesting, we need to create some kind of texture in it. There is no texture like bricks, for example, but we need to do something. And for that, I have this. Um, I have here also a little bit of Potter's Pink, and it's paint with some texture in it, and it makes yellow also a little bit more interesting, more complicated color, more interesting. So, and I start from the top and I paint like this. More of both colors. Potter's Pink is not necessary, but it's a great color to create textures in your paintings. So you can add a little bit more of Potter's Pink. To create even more texture. So like this. Maybe it looks a little bit weird now, but it will become better later. Okay, and for the rest of the picture, or for the parts with the bricks, I use orange. And I don't mind if colors flow into each other. That's great. No problem at all. I just try to not to paint over this um, great parts, but for the wall, I use different shades of red. I add pink, a little bit of alizarin crimson, all the beautiful orange, maybe some yellow, warm yellow, to create this very beautiful gradients and very beautiful washes. So you need to use a lot of water for that. And a large brush, by the way. If you try to do it with a very small brush, it wouldn't work, I'm sure. We have tried it lately with our braid brushes and it didn't work. Okay, so we have all these large areas. Now try to add some dark color here. I see that there is some darkness here. I don't know what color exactly this is, but I see that it's dark and I love to use some paint gray here. No black, please. If you use black, then your watercolor will look very dull. But maybe you don't have paints black, paints gray, then the only option is to use black, I think, or maybe dark brown. Okay, and this part is quite the same color. So again, I use quite a lot of water and just paint here like this. And now we have here some color harmony. And what is the harmony? We use actually two complementary colors. We use here orange and we use here kind of blue, because Payne's gray is a bluish gray. You can't see me taking it. It's very difficult to have in picture. Maybe this is better. So, and I see that here I have some colors flowing. Okay, and for this part, I want to paint this shadow because it's quite dark and I want to make it quite dark too. So I need to get more paint. And paint the shadow. We actually will paint more shadows yesterday, but tomorrow, I mean, but this is the shadow we need to start with today. And I also want to paint this part, mix a lot of different colors for that, just to create a little bit cool red color. It's not very cool, but add more. Yes, that's better. A little bit of purple to make it more a little bit cooler. And then let me see, I also need to paint this part, the darker part. I painted it once. And then I still use the same brush for this part. I don't know, maybe I will use the thinner one, the smaller one, for that part. Will will see, but you actually can shape the brush a little bit. So you can paint with a small tip. And here I paint like this. Just create this beautiful dark color, a combination of Payne's gray with blue, and the same on the other side. And here we should be a little bit more careful than with larger areas, because when we paint over the light parts, it will be more difficult to remove the color, dark color, from the light parts. Okay, almost there. A little bit thinner here, this middle part. And for these very small parts, I use a smaller brush. Like this. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and now we need to add some color to the shutters. And to do this, we need to actually use the same color, the mixture of paint gray and blue, but very diluted, so I add a lot of water to it. And so you can vary the amount of water to create very dark colors or very light colors. Actually, the same mixture, but diluted. And this is also how you create a harmony in your painting, by using the same colors. Here and there are not. Sometimes you just need to paint with other colors, but with different colors, but sometimes you can use the same colors. Also for these parts, for the curtains, I use the same mixture. And I don't want to have them white, because they are behind the glass. So they will have a little bit, they will be a little bit less white than you see them in the picture. Oh, I like this one part.
Julia, there's a question. Why is the window part so dark? The reference seems light blue.
Yes, because I'm going to add more textures to it with blue later, and if I do it to if I paint it too light, then these textures won't be visible. And I also don't want to follow the reference exactly. It's not about the reference, it's about my impression. So if I draw exactly the same as the reference, probably my picture will be boring. So I can, before I start painting, I already know that some parts will be different than there are in the reference. So I hope it's clear like this. So um, we artists and we can change things. Okay, and more questions maybe? Don't be shy, guys. I love questions. So here we also have this part is light, of course. Here is some shadow. And by the way, about shadows, we didn't paint a lot of shadows yet. We'll do it next time, tomorrow. But I have already added some shadows, and these are shadows that you can see very clearly in the picture. This part is much darker than the front, so I also will add a little bit more darkness, or maybe even more and much more darkness to this part tomorrow. And it's because the light source comes probably from, not probably, of course, it's just the light, daylight, that comes from the top, and this part becomes darker. But I also think that the light source, the daylight comes from this part, because this part from this side, because this part is a little bit darker than this part. So we keep it like this in our picture, because shadows are very, very important. And if you don't know nothing about shadows and you just draw things without understanding how it works, then um, yeah, it wouldn't work probably, and your picture won't be that impressive. Okay, so last thing I want to do today, and then we will stop. It's painting this parts of the window. The frame. And I make it a little bit darker. It should be less dark here, by the way, but I can remove the color here. Here it will be darker, and here it will be less dark. Something like this. Okay, so, and tomorrow we can go further and we can add more shadows, we can add more interest to the picture, more details, and then it will look very nice and beautiful. Okay, so how are you guys in the chat? Let me know if you're through with me, if it was difficult to keep up with me, or you could do it without problems. Oh, really? You come to the Netherlands?
Tulips and windmills.
Yeah.
Which
Oh,
part of the Netherlands are you coming to? Maybe you can do one of Julia's offline workshops this weekend and the next weekend in
yeah, but they
person.
are in Dutch.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Maybe difficult to follow if you don't speak Dutch.
Okay, that's true. That's true.
But
Okay, well,
I know there are some people in the chat who are Dutch, and maybe if they are interested, they can come and follow my
yeah.
work.
So that's what are the dates for your offline workshops?
The one is on April 30, and the other
So
one
on the on Sunday,
on
yeah,
Sunday.
this coming Sunday, and then there's one on the
On
6th of May.
26th. Yes, yes. So it went well, Marika. Oh, great. You're always there. When we're drawing at brave brushes or here, you're always following us. It's so cool. I love it. And
All right.
you're still busy.
Well, let's finish up, I guess, for today, right? And so tomorrow we'll continue with the details, colored pencils. Uh, do we still need watercolors tomorrow?
Yes, yes, we will finish this painting. We will add more shadows and maybe another layer, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. But when you say colored pencils, you don't mean watercolor pencils. You mean
No, I mean
regular pencils.
Yes, that was the question once. What are the pencils, colored pencils? And the colored pencils are pencils like this. So no, oh, it's just, and you can choose your own colors, of course. Your um, colors like blue will work very good and very well, and maybe orange. Yeah.
Just bring whatever you have,
Yeah, of course.
and
Yeah.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Okay, we are running a little late, but this part, the painting part and the fine liner, takes usually takes a long time, and it's
Yeah,
good that we didn't feel rushed today by breaking this up into three parts.
definitely, definitely. Good
Okay,
decision, I think.
so we'll see you all in part three tomorrow to finish the sketch.
Yeah. Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Tomorrow.